We're going to give you and a guest a chance to go to Chase Center to attend the Warriors' introductory press conference with the player they draft. Steiny and Evan will be showing you a keyword from 10 to 2. Willard and Dibbs will do the same thing from 2 to 6. And you have a chance to go to an introductory press conference. I keep talking about the Murray kid, Chris Murray. Imani Bates, I'll take him too, whatever. Looking for the best Giants talk in the Bay Area, by the way. Check out the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. Joe Shasky, Sam Lubman bring you all you need to know about the Giants this season. And I don't know if you noticed this, Alan. Mm-hmm. Sam Lubman doing work at Oracle Park.
He has been grinding.
Photos with E40.
Yeah.
Chopping up 40 water like he's his business manager. Chilling with Rob Parker. Getting interviews with Logan Webb and Gabe Kapler. He was on Gabe Kapler's couch.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabe Kapler was like, usually he says, hey, let me get some space. He's sitting next to Lubman like it's all good.
Yeah, he's
in
my
guy
now.
Over here.
He's in now.
He's in. Mm-hmm. It's a factor.
Sam is having a great, remember that VH1 show, Best Week Ever?
Yeah.
Sam is having, a best year ever. He's got the new spot.
Well, you know what it's called. It's the Summer of Love. The Summer of Love.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having one hell of a start to summer.
Yeah.
He is rolling. You see his glow? You see the way he's walking around here?
Yep. Go get a young fella. Go get a young man.
Who feels himself more? Sam Lubman, our producer, or Eric Musselman, the head coach of the University of Arkansas? Muss, man, welcome back to the Morning Roast here on 95.7 The Game. We love having you on in the Bay Area Airways. Obviously, your connection with Moses Moody. But, man, I gotta start here. You in a tournament, taking off the shirt, getting psyched up in the locker room. Some of the best content ever, E-Bus. And it really is.
We like to have fun after a win. I'm not so sure my wife likes the shirt coming off, but I am trying to do everything I can at my age to stay in as good a shape as I can in case we have another celebration at some point in the future.
No, we're all in on the Muss Bus, man. We love the excitement. Bully and I always laugh on the Warriors pregame live. We're always watching you from afar, just kind of laughing like, man, look at Muss, man. He's having a blast down there in Arkansas. But let's talk about Mike Dunleavy Jr., a player you got to coach, a young Mike Dunleavy Jr., of course, coming out of Duke, where he won a national championship. And in case you heard, or I don't know what's going on in Arkansas right now, Muss, but he's been named the new GM of the Golden State Warriors. So we want to bring you out and maybe talk about the Mike Dunleavy Jr., the player, and who he was back then, because a lot of fans can't separate the player and who he is right now as a GM of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, no, really happy for Mike. Obviously, you can go all the way back to 2002 when he was drafted in the first round, the third pick overall by the Warriors. And, coming out of college when the evaluation period was going on at that time, Gary St. Jean was the general manager, and Chris Mullen was in the front office. And, a lot of film being watched, obviously, when you pick that high. Not only are you trying to evaluate the player, but also his basketball IQ. You're trying to evaluate upside. You're trying to evaluate how he can fit into your culture. And obviously his career at Duke from 99 to 2002. National champion as a sophomore. In the title game, he scored 21 points. Mm-hmm. And obviously was a great shooter. Played with other guys, other pros. And so I think when you look at the totality of him as a player, as a rookie, I certainly think that the thought process with the organization was that he could be a long-term player in the NBA. Obviously, at 6'9", thought that there would be tremendous upside to continue to grow as a player as well, because there's not a lot of guys at his size that could play the off guard and the small forward. And obviously, the 5 years with the Warriors. And then a pro career that really lasted from 2002 until it ended in 2017 with the Hawks. So, you're talking about a player that even as a rookie had an impact. I thought he was a great passer, almost a point forward from day one of his rookie training camp. He never skipped a beat. He actually could learn and knew three positions, the 3, the 2, and the 4 for us the year that I was with Mike. So, and then I think his reputation now, as an executive, is really unique. I think that when you have a general manager who played in the NBA, he's got a different perspective than maybe some general managers that did not play. I think it's a huge advantage. I think it's a huge advantage for an NBA coach if he played in the NBA, somebody like Doc Rivers that I worked with. Not to say that guys like Eric Spoelstra and Mike Malone and guys like that can't be excellent coaches because those guys did not play in the NBA, but I certainly think all things being equal as a general manager or a coach, if you've played, I certainly think it really helps from a respect standpoint with the players. So I think Mike's going to be an incredible general manager.
Muss, when it comes to just Mike and his personality, right? What pieces from that you've seen, what pieces do you think will translate to him as a GM? The hardworking, his IQ you talked about a little bit. What pieces from him as a player do you think will translate to him being a successful GM?
Well, because obviously the draft's coming up here on Thursday, and as I sit around with my staff and even some of our players, because we're hopeful that there's 4 Razorback players called on draft night. Yeah. We talk about draft rooms, and the one thing that I think really, 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 really stands out is the fact that Mike is so calm, cool, and collected. And when I think about the guys that I work for or the draft rooms that I was in, that calm demeanor, whether it's free agency and you're against the clock to try to sign a player, I think you got to be a recruiter through free agency. I think in the draft, you've got to have great planning. You got to have a calm demeanor because that draft room, there's a lot of balls being thrown at you. Come decision-making time. There's trade proposals. There's who do you pick. There's not knowing a guy that maybe you thought would drop to you and he gets picked early. So all those things, the basketball IQ, the demeanor of being calm under pressure situations, I think those are areas that Mike's really, really going to excel at. And I think he'll know how to put together a team. I think he'll understand, the importance of role players. Like, there's a reason that Miami, has great success year in and year out. I think Mike will really, really understand the value, just as Bob Myers did, the value of a Gary Payton Jr. And how those type of players can fit in on any given year and change the makeup of your team. Because obviously you've got to have 2 to 3 superstars to win at a high level, but then the teams that are really excelling or exceeding expectations become the teams that really understand the role players, how they fit, and how a role player can maybe supersede what he's done in prior seasons.
Eric Musselman here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Of course, he coaches at the University of Arkansas, but Coach Mike Dunleavy Jr. for his first 2 years in the NBA knows Mike well. Did you ever see Mike? Because I know he loves to scout. He loves to get out there on the road. Did you ever see him out there at your games or at any tournaments, Mike Dunleavy Jr. there scouting?
Yes, we've seen Mike a couple different times. I think we've seen him at least one NCAA tournament, and then I've seen him in at least 1 to 2 regular season games. Again, I think, he has a reputation of being a great worker, for sure, of being an evaluator. Sometimes, you'll see a guy scouting a game even on TV, and sometimes guys are talking on Scout Row, and Mike's the guy that's going to watch the game. He's going to watch the interaction that happens between head coach and player. He's going to watch the interaction that happens between player to player. I felt, even as a rookie, the maturity level, was like a veteran, and maybe that's because, his father was a longtime NBA player and a longtime NBA coach. So you can take Mike's age and basically double it because of the experience that he's had growing up with a dad who not only played in the league,
right,
was one of the most successful coaches. So he's at a perfect age too. I mean, he's going to be one of the younger GMs in the NBA. And I think from a continuity standpoint, he could be in that position long term for many years with the Warriors.
Must, we've talked a little bit about Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s personality and how he, is this calming presence. It is starting to sound, and I hate to do it, but it's human nature to do it. It does sound as if his personality is somewhat similar to Bob Myers, which I do think will help Warriors fans, at least at the beginning, because Bob Myers has turned into this almost a godlike, a godlike creature for the Warriors fans, just for everything that he's done. And now you go to Mike Dunleavy Jr., who is going to be a tough situation for him, simply because we understand the Warriors situation in total. Anyway, how do you feel that he's going to be able to handle this situation walking into these big shoes?
Well, I think, and again, I'm living in Fayetteville, Arkansas, so I'm not in the Bay Area, although I do try to watch as many Warrior games as I can. From afar, Bob Myers had such an impact in so many different ways, and I think one of those was, the individual meetings that he was able to have with players. And I think that's going to be a vital aspect. I think that's what separated Bob Myers from other general managers, was the fact that he was able to communicate with an NBA star in situations that needed to be dealt with maybe head on from a communication standpoint. Mike's not going to have a problem at all because he's put on uniforms next to all-star type players and been able to interact and have great relationships because he was really, really well liked as a player. So I think the communication aspect with the player is going to be very, very easy for Mike. The one thing that made Bob Myers a little bit unique was as an agent, the dealing with contracts. I think that's where an agent who goes to become a GM, that aspect of the financial, but the Warriors have so many, smart people in there, and obviously, Mike's incredibly bright, so I don't think the numbers are going to affect him at all as a GM. I think he's one of those guys that probably can figure out numbers very quickly, whether you're talking about rookie salaries or how trades would work. He's probably a guy that doesn't even need pad and paper based on his IQ.
Muss, I got to ask you about Moses Moody. We love Moses Moody out here, but we also felt like, and I'm not asking you to critique the coaching or whatnot, but we were a little disappointed with the lack of playing time he received during the regular season. Now, he got a bump in the playoffs, and he showed that, hey, you know what? He's an NBA player. Being asked to guard LeBron James, that's no easy task, and a lot of people fell at that. What's the message to Moses Moody going into his third year on this basketball team that's looking to hang another banner, but you got this crazy mix of veterans and youngsters, and everybody's talking about the two timelines? Well, what's been your message to Moses Moody this all season, and maybe even throughout the season as he was getting DNPs and inconsistent playing time?
Well, Moses he's really, really mature. His 1 year at Arkansas, I felt like he could have a bad game. He could bounce right back. He could have a great game and still come in and not feel too good about the game prior. He's got a great level-headedness about him. And I think I think his third year is going to be his best year. I think he could have a breakout season. He's a guy that if he does get a DNP, he knows just get back in the gym, get in the lab, continue to work. I think he understands that, and so does his family. His mom and dad. I think that his support staff, they understand that he's in a great situation with a great organization because there's not many lottery picks. There just really aren't many lottery picks that get to play on a playoff team or a team that has NBA championship aspirations. So if you're one of the few lottery pick players who gets to play on a team like that, you sit back, you soak up all the veterans' knowledge, and then when your name's called upon, you got to be ready to go. And then at some point, you've got to have a breakout season, whether that breakout season happens in year 3 or year 4. But sometime before that first contract comes up, you want to really
Right.
have an impact, and I think Moses is ready to do that this year.
All right, Bus, you've turned Arkansas, you've made them relevant again. Obviously, Nolan Richardson did an awesome job down there. You had Mr. Anderson do a great job down there, but you're now running a show, and you're getting guys into the league. Speaking of Moses Moody, Jalen Williams, who's having a good career with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He really came on this past season. Who's the next wave of Hogs in the NBA? Who's coming up in the NBA draft, man?
Well, we hope to have 2 lottery picks this year. I can't wait to go to New York and be in Brooklyn and be at the draft. It's the first time. I mean, I think of I've been through so much in my career.
Right.
I've never been to the draft, and I've never sat with a player. So I'm like, I get goosebumps even talking about it. Like, I'm so excited.
Keep the shirt on, Mus. Keep the shirt on.
Keep the shirt on. I'm wearing a suit. I haven't worn a suit in a long time, but I'm gonna be appropriate. But Anthony Black is going to be drafted in the lottery from all the feedback that we've got. He should go in the top 10, and then Nick Smith. We're very hopeful that Nick will be a lottery pick as well. He dealt with some injuries here at Arkansas, and Nick is going to be in the green room. So both Nick Smith and Anthony Black will be in the green room. So we're hopeful that we have 2 lottery picks, and then we have 2 other players. Ricky Council, who we got through the transfer portal, is a transfer from Wichita State, and then Jordan Walsh was a freshman this year. So we're hopeful that it's a historical draft day. Those 4 guys are on almost every mock draft. 2 of them in the second round and 2 of them in the first round. So we hope that this is, the greatest NBA draft day for the University of Arkansas in the history of the program. And we're hopeful to hear 4 guys' names called, and 3 of them would be freshmen. So if we could have 3 one-and-done players off of a roster that made a Sweet 16, I really think it'll help us in recruiting in future years.
No, you guys have been fun to watch in the tournament as you guys turn it up there in the month of March. We saw you here at the Elite Eight at Chase Center. It was a lot of fun watching you guys tangle with Duke University. I know you guys hung tough in that game, but, man, a lot of good things happening at Arkansas. And by the way, Nevada, too. We can't forget about your days with Nevada. Caleb Martin had a great NBA final, Alan. How about that?
I'll tell you what, that was – I flew down to Miami and watched one of their games against Boston in the playoffs. And, I mean, if you really study the Caleb Martin story, it's absolutely insane. But both he and his brother had great careers, at University of Nevada. They led us to a Sweet 16. And the one thing that's probably the coolest thing coaching college is to see a guy like Caleb Martin and Cody, both those guys getting second contracts. And I mean, it's unbelievable. Caleb Martin was 1 vote shy of being the Eastern Conference MVP, and that's from a player that was waived by Charlotte. So really, really cool story with both Martin brothers as well. No
doubt. All right, you see him coaching with a shoulder harness or arm brace, whatever you want to call it. He's got the shirt off after games, but he's got things rolling down there, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Of course, Moses Moody here with the Golden State Warriors, but just shedding some light on who Mike Dunleavy Jr. was as a player, and of course, Mus believes he could be a good GM. I'm with him, Mus. I believe Mike Dunleavy Jr. could do a damn good job with the Golden State Warriors. Mus, we appreciate the time on such short notice, man. Good luck this next season. I'm sure we'll talk again here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game.
Sounds great. It's always awesome to join you guys. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks.
Anytime. Eric Musselman here on the Morning Roast. We got 4